Peace and love, everybody. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties right now. Y'all know how that go. And I need to do one more thing. Hold up. I need to do one more thing before. So I'm trying to get this first slide to be. I don't know why I did not wait to go live. But peace and love, everybody. Thank you for chiming in. We about to pop off right now. Blake, check on them potatoes. Check on them potatoes, please.
Welcome to my one number.
Check on them potatoes.
Okay, I did. Muted. I did.
Thank you. All right, now I'm probably able to go back and do. Peace and love, everybody. Thank you for chiming in. It is such a beautiful blessing to be back live in the classroom and doing our thing that we do every month for the Education Corner, Expert Education Corner, to get that information out there for the community, for everybody who need it, because we never know who could be going through something. So we want to make sure that we're always in the midst of helping somebody that may be going through something. So I'm continuing to share my screen with you as we dive right in. My apologies, I was running a little bit late, so I apologize for that. Today is, not today, this month is, first of all, Women's History Health Month. We lifting up the women each and every day. We trying to do what's right by our women. We want to be there for our women, and women, we love you. Okay. And you could tell them Queenafi said it. The other thing about March is that it is self-abuse, self-harm month as well. And today for the Expert Education Corner, we are going to be talking about negative self-talk, because we always, you hear a lot of people doing it to other people, but what about them three fingers that's pointing back at you? When we talk down to ourself, see, that's for them three fingers pointing back at your heart. So when we talking down about somebody, we got to tread lightly, because we got them three fingers pointing back at us. Okay. And negative self-talk is just not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's better if we learn how to use effective communication with ourselves as well as with others. Okay, so that's all I was saying here. Dinner table conversation, truth and transparent dinner table conversation. I feel like therapy should be done at our dinner tables. We should not be running out here paying people and yah and all that. But unfortunately, dinner table topics, conversations are hard. And so sometimes you do need somebody there to help mediate those conversations. And that's what I like to do for the Expert Education Corner, is help to mediate those conversations that we need to have at our dinner table. And of course, it's used as a metaphor because the dinner table can go with you everywhere. On the road with you, in your job lounge, at school, at your real dinner table in your household, when y'all go on the road. You know, these conversations are good to have because it opens that door up for dialogue. It also opens that door up to kind of just get a glimpse into what everybody's thinking about the topic, and then putting those solutions out there for our families, right, and for friends and for loved ones. So we're talking about negative self-talk. That's what we're talking about. You talking about what is it, right? Because most people are like, what is it? I mean, I had no clue that I was, talking negative to myself. You know what I mean? Because the words penetrate your heart. That's why it's three fingers pointing back at you when you up there cussing somebody else out and being negative towards somebody else. The three fingers are pointing right back at you. Negative self-talk is when your inner voice is excessively negative, sounding more like an inner critic. It is pessimistic and focuses on the bad. It erodes your confidence and stops you from reaching your potential. So we say things like what? I can't do it. I can't do anything right. I'm not good enough. We say things like such thoughts are just an example, but we say things like will I ever be good enough? Is a huge one that we say. And I think that everybody may have said that once or twice. I mean, and that's everybody at the dinner table can say, am I not good enough? Why is it that I feel like I'm not good enough? Or you don't make me feel good enough, which makes me think I can't do anything right. I can't get anything right. Because of those negative words that we believe about ourselves. And as children, we didn't wake up and teach ourselves how to do this. It was taught to us by us being at these dinner tables and listening to those conversations that are unhealthy, but that could be healthy. It could actually be healthy, but they turn out unhealthy because the communication is not there. All right, so what are some of the origins? Childhood trauma, such as bullying at school, can implement a seed of self-doubt that grows over time, especially in the bullying at school. When you constantly are hearing that by that person or by persons, I'm dumb, I'm stupid. And recently I was at Friendship Collegiate High School and they was doing it. And so I was having to let them know, that words have power. We're not going to hurt nobody. We're not doing verbal abuse. Yeah. We're talking about a real topic that has real feelings, that has nothing to do with explicitives, has nothing to do with it, with our conversation. Peer pressure, past failures, or emotional scars from specific incidents. So those traumatic experiences that we have experienced over the years, past and present, that cause us to shoot our own self in the foot. Did you know personalizing when you unfairly blame yourself for situations that are not within your control? You constantly blame yourself for things that could be divine, things that may not are meant to go the way that you processed it in your mind. And so you begin to unfairly blame yourself. And of course, with victims of domestic violence, they constantly are getting blamed. Blame. That's what the abuser does. He or she literally blames you for everything. And it's due to the fact that even the abuser personalizes and blames themselves too. So it's like a two-way street. It's been done to them, so they doing it to you, which makes no sense. magnifying, zooming in exclusively on the negative aspects of a situation. Yes, that abuser is definitely going to zoom into the negative aspects of a situation and then make you feel some kind of way, right? Make you feel some kind of way. All while they're saying negative words and they're taking it like above and beyond. Places that it don't even have to go, it goes there. Polarizing all or nothing mindset leads to setting unrealistic standards for yourself and others, resulting in frequent disappointments and frustration. Because you putting that pressure on you because you got a one-track mindset and you zoomed into the negativity. Even though you could be feeling like you're unfairly judged, you still zoom into the negativity as well as you make it your own. See what I mean? You personalize it for you. So of course, yes, you're gonna wake up and be thinking these things, especially when you personalizing it for yourself, right? Then you magnifying it. I can never get it right. I ain't gonna never be nothing. Some people say, Queen, I've been told all my life that I'll never be nothing. You'll hear a lot of people that have went on to get successful. They come right back around there with that story. It was people that telling me that I wasn't going to be successful, that I wasn't going to get very far because they was looking at, my downfalls at that time, which could look like peer pressure, right? Or failures, right? And not having the support you need, the verbal support that you need to be able to chime into those things in a different type of mindset, right? So we see that a lot, with our young people as well as with grown people. Leadership at the dinner table personalizes. One, personalizing it, they magnify it, and they polarize, right? So we got to be careful about that part of it too. The unrealistic standards is just over the top. Y'all know we always talk about those unrealistic expectations put a paper plate. We always talk about those unrealistic expectations that the abuser puts on somebody. When you have to be everything for that person and you become nothing for yourself. And the abuser uses negative self-talk to do that, right? But there's always three fingers pointing back at them. So when you think that they may be getting away, they're not getting away. What does social media have to do with it? We have 60,000 to 90,000 thoughts per day. That's a lot. I mean, that means we are constantly in our head, like we're never without a thought. You see what I mean? So we're always there in that space. But what are we thinking in that process? What are we thinking? What do those thoughts entail? Who can be the victim? It's very likely to happen when you have social media on deck and have these thoughts like that. And then if we got out people at the dinner table that are in social media relationships, long distance relationships, I mean, you got a whole lot of thoughts going through your mind. Literally, you do, because the person is so far away. So you thinking about the woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda beens. You thinking about how y'all gonna put it together. You thinking about how y'all compatible. You thinking about how it's gonna work. All these things you be thinking about when it's on social media, and especially if you are call yourself dating online or having a partner that's long distance. Media, music, mental health. So media, what is the brain absorbing? Mood. What does negative absorption cause mood swings? What does it cause the mood swings in us? What is that? I'm sorry, why does it cause those absorption? Why does negative absorption cause mood swings in us? One. Everything is on one, Blake. Blake is bugging. How should we process the negative aspects of social media? Is another question here. How should we process that negativity that tends to come from the other side when we are using social media? When our young people are on social media, it does have a way of adjusting your mood. It definitely can do that because you can see something that could trigger you. Those thoughts, those negative thoughts, and that negative self-talk can be triggered from the things that we are seeing on social media, as well as the things that we are putting out there on social media. And then we get responses in return that can still be negative talk, right? So think about that. What are you actually absorbing? Absorbing social media information, how does it affect the brain? Persuasive technology taps into the vulnerabilities, pushing us to keep clicking and scrolling and engaging. And it does. It's like we're chasing after this negative high. We be unconsciously chasing after a negative high. And the fastest way to get there these days is on social media. Exposure to unrestrained levels of digital technology can have serious long-term consequences for development. If exposed to negative content, fear and outrage can become the norm, right? Eroding your sense of goodness and shared humanity. So we pick the negative over positive. We unconsciously do this, but it feels right because this is what we know. This is what we know to do, right? And some of us have already participated in this before social media even came, because we had pages, we had Nextel. You could call Nextel and get an operator a message, and they gonna put it whatever. They gonna send it to the person Nextel, and they gonna read it, whatever you say. So whatever you were saying, them negative words you was using, they gonna get it. Back in the day, they had that, but now it's way more fluent, right? Social media can permanently change young people's brain structure and impact how they will think, feel, and act throughout their lives. So it has a very powerful effect on our young people's brains as well as our adult brains. All right, adults, y'all don't get away with it because some adults on social media are worse than children will ever be on social media. And you are somebody's mother or father. You are somebody's stepmother or father. You are somebody's caretaker. You somebody's grandma and grandpa. And your behavior is terrible on social media. It's always a negative something, hoorah, 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 coming across the screen, or the things that we're reading, what the brain is absorbing, and then we're going to, what I'm saying, take them three fingers that's pointed at our heart, okay, and put some negativity out there. Now you're not supposed to be having no negativity in your heart. So why would you shoot yourself 3 times? If your finger's only pointing, one finger points in one direction to the other person, right? But you got 3 of them pointing back at your heart, your body. Come on now, do the math, like Jay-Z said. Do the math. His wife got all these Grammys and she's still having one album of the year. Do the math. You up there pointing your one finger to somebody else when the 3 fingers is pointing back at you. And don't let you be a child of the Most High, because you're going to get dealt with because you had 3 fingers pointing back at your heart. And your heart is not supposed to be operating in a negative way. You know that your heart is to remain pure so that the Creator can speak to you through your heart. So when you have all that negative garbage going on in your heart, the Creator is not coming there in your heart. So you wonder why your stuff get delayed when it comes to the correct. You wonder why it's delayed. That's why it's delayed, because you have so much negativity going at your dinner table, and then you doing it on social media. And social media is doing it back to you. But only this time, you don't have one bully, you might have 100 bullies. That's way too much. That's way too much negativity for the brain to be soaking that up. That's way too much negativity for our children to be soaking up on social media, and then they turn around and have this stuff going on at their dinner table. Social media's ability to profit from our vulnerabilities is putting our brains and our society at risk, because social media is definitely profiting off of the vulnerabilities of many people on there. Twitter, Instagram. And you know, people will hit you with a picture. And all they put on the pictures, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, that's true. I believe that's true. But what the picture saying? It be pictures up there that be exposing our women because you trusted somebody. It be pictures up there of our young girls being exposed because they trusted somebody through social media or through text message to your phone. Then it end up on social media. That's why I tell my young people always, pull your phones out, because I want to see if you got any sexy pictures in that phone. Because if you do, we are erasing those today. And here's why we need to do it. Because you can be extorted, because you can be held, because you can be blackmailed. All right. Because that photo can link to an address if the dark web is to get involved, and your peoples will never see you again, male or female child. Because it can be linked to the dark web. All right. Emotional abuse. Let's move right along to emotional abuse. Let's talk about it. Catch it, check it, and change it. Catch it, check it, and change it. Would you? Catch it, check it, and change it. Would you? Catch it, check it, and change it. Whoa, that's hard to do. That's hard to do. The mind is a place that soaks up, eat up. The mind is going to absorb. Let me put absorb here. Absorb in capital letters. Absorb, right? What is it going to absorb? Those negative feelings, those negative emotions, those negative cries for help. You see, those negative thoughts that we try to keep inside. Those negative thoughts that we try to keep inside. The mind absorbs negative self-talk. It does. It absorbs it, and it causes emotional abuse inadvertently or up directly. Emotional abuse. So low self-esteem, automatically devouring your own thoughts and opinions and elevating the thoughts and opinions of theirs. Put cheese on those things for a minute. Loneliness, the inability to establish a meaningful connection with others, including yourself. So the connection has to start with you first. Then it goes on to your friends and family, your children and foes, right? When you start the negative talk. So you want to make sure that you're speaking to yourself in a positive way, so that you're putting that same energy back out there into family, friends, fans, and foes. Unrealistic guilt, believing anything wrong that happens around you is your fault. It's not your fault, but you believe it is. It's the unrealistic guilt. You see, we've talked about that unrealistic word a lot. here, because the things that we be seeing and believe and be putting in our bodies and our thoughts and stuff, and it causes us to blame ourselves for things that we're not at fault at, but we end up beating ourselves down. We end up beating ourselves down, and there's not a lot of women and men out there that give themselves credit on a daily basis. Instead, we fall right into the unrealistic guilt. Failure syndrome, a deep-seated fear that you are not worthy of good things in your life, so you make sure they don't happen. You start sabotaging your own self because you don't believe you deserve better. And the words, the negative self-talk will make you believe you don't deserve better. That's the point. And what is negative self-talk falls under the umbrella of what? Verbal abuse all day long to yourself. See, transfer of needs, finding comfort and solace for the pain and addictive behavior. So now you popping pills, you taking mollies, you snorting dope, you drinking, you eating, you shopping, you got all these addictive behaviors because the emotional abuse from the self-talk is real. So you looking to try to find anything to sober that feeling for the negative self-talk, the emotional abuse that we actually inflict upon ourselves. Remember that it's three fingers pointing back at you every time. And it's heartbreaking, it's gut-wrenching because, you want people to have more emotional, healthy lives, but the words that come out of our mouth are so atrocious that we end up being emotionally abused by ourselves first, and then we attract other people that are emotionally abused too. It attracts that same spirit, right? So is that a case of you are what you think you are, or it goes something like that? My mother used to tell me. She used to tell me something like that. That's why people always say, believe you can do it. Believe you can do it. The 3 C's of negative self-talk. Catch it. It's important to recognize all negative thoughts up front. Don't let it bubble up. Check it. Checking your negative thoughts can help you confront the thought and check it with yourself and check in with yourself to learn why you're feeling that way. So the question is, why am I feeling this way? So you checking in with self. You catching those thoughts because you know what your triggers are. You know what can get you rolled up. So you catching it, but then you gotta check it. We catch it, but what do we do with it when we catch it? We let it bottle up inside. We let it bottle up inside. We never check in with ourselves. Even if you're not gonna check in with nobody else, check in with yourself for your thoughts that you know that's eating you up, for the grief that you know that's eating you up, for the abuse, physical abuse, financial abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, emotional that you know that's eating you up. Check in with yourself. It's hard for people to do that. Change it. Your negative thoughts may have become so familiar and habitual to you that they just pop up automatically. That's the first route most people know how to go, is to a negative, sarcastic, verbal abuse disguised as a joke type of talk. And we attract this. We attract this. We open up the door and let these same people and we know you're around people that got 3 fingers pointing back at their heart. The 1 finger pointing to a person, that's nothing compared to the 3 fingers that's pointing back at your heart. That's the issue. When you out here putting these words out here in the world like that, putting these words out here on our children. You're not gonna have no good life talking negative to our young people and then talking about this tough love. Because that's not true. Find tough in the dictionary and find love. I guarantee you they separate. And I guarantee you they don't mean the same thing. They're opposite of each other. Okay, so first of all, we got to get our language together. We be putting these words together that don't even love and hate relationship. They don't go together. Hate is in one part of the dictionary. Love is in another part. So how you get love and hate relationship? Like I tell my young people, you can find that research on that. Let me know. Because I don't see it happen. Verbal and emotional abuse, if you don't catch it, check it, or change it, then those psychological thoughts become habitual. they will take over your mind, body, soul, and spirit. Those words will break you down when you keep telling yourself, I can't, I'm not good enough. How come nobody is, around me? Why am I lonely? I feel empty inside. I hate myself. There's a lot about young people who say they hate themselves. They be like, young, I hate myself for doing it. And I be saying, hold on, wait a minute. Hate yourself? That's the only words you can use is hate yourself. Come on, now you don't hate yourself. Try to bring them back around to reality, but they will go there on me in a minute. And they probably go there on you in a minute. See, but that's because what are they learning? What is the brain absorbing as far as those words at our dinner table? And really using our communication skills like we need to on a level 100. We need to be speaking to each other on a level 100%. Nobody should not be speaking down to you and then turn around having you speaking down to them. And then both of y'all got three fingers pointing back at your heart. And your heart is saying, leave me alone with that BS. And your heart is saying, I don't want no parts of this mess that they got going on. You see, the heart don't want to be in no drama. It don't want to do it. In fact, that's not even its job. To process your drama and your psychological downfalls, your unrealistic guilt, your peer pressure. The heart will never process that. The heart is blind. All it does is pump blood into the body. It will never accept no negative self-talk. But heck, shoot, when you got them three fingers pointing back at you, I don't know. I feel like you testing the waters. When the three fingers are pointing back at you, I feel like you could be testing the waters. And, I don't really want to see nobody doing that. Getting into those spaces and places where your physical health start breaking down because of the three fingers that are pointing back at you. And if we're going to do the math, right? Let's say, for an example, we point a finger at her. We point the finger at him. We point the finger at them. We got three fingers pointing back at us for the first person. Then we got three fingers pointing back at us for the second person. That's six fingers pointing back already to your heart. Then we might, for the last person, the third person, them could be a couple of them. So we could end up having at least 15 fingers pointing back at us on a daily basis. You are shocking the heart. The heart does not want anything to do with that. It does not process your stuff in the brain so that your brain can process that negativity and dump it before it even reaches your heart. See, so people telling you to follow your heart, I need to meet these people because I got something to say to them. I got something to say to people who tell you to follow your heart when all the heart does, and a doctor will come over and tell you right now, all the heart does is pump blood into the body. That's all it does. The heart is made pure for a reason so that your higher power can speak to you in your heart. See, and I'm gonna say Christ for an example. I'm gonna say God. He gave us a brain to be able to process these negative words. Okay. He talked about that. He talked about that mouth being a double-edged sword. He talked about that. And we be killing our own self, thinking you only pointing one finger to somebody else. This is the math that I'm trying to get y'all to see. You only pointing one finger to somebody else, but you got three of them pointing back at you. So you getting, and if you're doing this all day, You're getting so many doses of negativity in your heart. You're going to kill yourself. You are killing yourself. You expect a stroke or a heart attack at any moment. When we call ourselves pointing the finger at somebody else and we want to hurt somebody else's feelings and we want to use these words to kill people. But what I need you to understand is you only got one finger pointing at them. And all while you doing that, all while you doing all that, them three fingers is pointing back at your heart. Okay? Process your communication through your brain. Because the brain's job is to process that. The brain's job is to process that negativity that's coming your way. Right? And it can help you stop it before it hits your heart. So you want to help somebody, help yourself first. Help yourself first. Then you can help somebody else once you have done the work. Sisters and brothers, we have to be willing to do the therapeutic work. We don't even be willing to do the work. We sitting up here with all this grief in our life because our loved ones is dying right and left out here today. And we sitting up here with all this grief in our heart and we not processing anything through the brain. We're not processing anything because we want to suppress it. We don't want to think about it. We want to repress it. We want to suppress it. We want to oppress it. We ain't worried about that. I ain't trying to think about that. I didn't block that out of my mind. All bad things for the brain. All negative things for the brain. You are constantly feeding yourself negative lies, cheat, and deceit to your own brain. Don't nobody else got to do that to you. We can do that to ourselves good. We can do it to ourselves well. This is why we have to teach our babies when they born into the world how important positive self-talk is. And knowing words and becoming familiar with words to match out feelings and match out thoughts. Right? But no, we not there. We not there. We don't do that. We don't do that. We ain't there. So in the conclusion, as I'm talking about what? Effective communication. Effective communication with yourself. And some of you just need to come to the classroom with me and learn how to be an effective communicator to yourself first. See, because you're not good with talking to yourself first. So I know you ain't good with talking to your children or nobody else. You're not good at it. When we should be communicating on 100%. We should be communicating on A level and not F level. All right. We want to try to sober our thoughts and get some strategies going on to help us challenge the thought, question the accuracy and the validity of your negative self-talk. See what I mean? So understanding what it is that you're believing about yourself and what it is you were taught to believe about yourself in a negative space, and then question that with yourself. And I know some of my students, scholars, they like to journal. Some of them do very well with journaling their feelings and understanding why they're feeling that, as well as questioning those feelings that are hurting them in that time. With me, I love for my scholars to always have the words on hand because they don't know the words. And so to always have those words on hand so you can put the facts with the feelings, right? Whatever those challenging thoughts are for you, right? You can begin to research those thoughts and pull your own education out of it and change it. that is where you can change it. So you can challenge yourself to change it and really doing reflection over your journal work that some of us may like to journal with. Some of us may like to put the affirmations in a jar, and have those in place, and you go and pick your affirmations out the jar to help you counteract the negative thoughts. So reprogramming your brain to counteract the negative self-talk, right? Reframe the thought, replace the thought again, the negative thought with a more balanced and positive one, which is what I just mentioned. So reframing that thought. So reprogramming your brain to understand what you're feeling, which is going to give you more of a balance. And it can also put you more to, okay, so here's why I was thinking that. Here's why, Queen, I wanted to talk to you about these thoughts that I was having because I couldn't figure it out. So that's where, I can come in and help you rationalize those thoughts, feelings, and what it is we need to pull from that. So, solution to the problem, my thing is don't approach the problem with a problem. Approach the problem with a logical solution, right? So, that solution is to begin to counteract the self thought. Use mindfulness and relaxation techniques to help your thoughts sober, help those negative thoughts sober so that you are addressing yourself with kind words, right? Some people say you have to give respect in order to get it. And that is true. You have to give respect to yourself in order to get it. And that's going to first start with communication. How you communicate with yourself will say who you are. It will say who you are, how you communicate with yourself. It also will address your behaviors in the midst of that. You see what I mean? So you'll have the willpower to say, you know what? I'm going to stop self-medicating because when I feel like this, when I feel like that, I turn to this. Instead, turn to some deep breathing. Deep breathing is good. And I mean, thank you, Mama Ayo, because Queenafi be over here doing her deep breathing. So I can reroute my thoughts and refrain from that negativity, refrain from pointing the three fingers back at myself because I'm pointing the finger at somebody else. You see what I mean? So I'm learning to get better with that. And that is something that I do help scholars get better at the same time. And we all go through this together. Nobody is bigger than the other one. Nobody is got all their P's and Q's straight. Nobody has not crossed all their T's and dotted all their I's. We all in this effective communication thing together. And we must start recognizing the patterns of the negative self-talk so we can begin to counteract those thoughts with more positive ones by writing, journaling, getting your word affirmations out in a jar, or you can post it. Some of the students take the little post-it notes and stick them in places. And so they're constantly reminding themselves. Also, my mom have it where she actually has the little words that you can, put up on wallpaper and stuff. Those positive affirmations that are flowing through the house so that you're constantly reminding yourself, okay, this is going to be good. This is going to be great. I can do this. And this is for our brothers as well as our sisters. Brothers, you do a lot of negative self-talk. As soon as you address yourself as I'm that N-word, soon as you address yourself with that, you out your mind. You're gone, boo. Let me be the one to tell you. Soon as you address yourself like that. Sisters out here dressing themselves as the B word and all that. Oh, I'm that one. I'm that bad. 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 Sister, you out your mind. That ain't cool. That ain't right. That ain't gonna lead you down the road of healing. See what I mean? I do know we say things and stuff. We do. We do. But some of us, this is our regular thing that we do. We just negative self-talk to ourselves. And then we get mad when somebody else do it to us. Or we dapping somebody else up because they doing it to us. I mean, but if you're doing it to yourself, you're going to attract it. See what I mean? If you're doing it to yourself, you're going to attract it. Same energy. You gotta put yourself in a space where you can effectively communicate with yourself and using words of power. And yes, we go searching for affirmations and we go to our curry house and stuff and get our fortune cookies and accept those. But we got affirmations in us that are for us. Them 3 fingers pointing back at your heart. You got affirmations that need to make sure that heart is always pumping blood through the body. Because if it shut down on you and your brain get dehydrated, that could be the last time we ever talk to you, hear from you at all. On top of, we don't drink enough water. We don't drink enough water. If you're not drinking enough water to help purify your brain, keep your brain in a space where it's in the prefrontal cortex and is able to process our thoughts and feelings and emotions, that is the work that we have to do first before we talk about we out here trying to help somebody else. Football season coming up, even the coaches, basketball coaches, cheerleading coaches are understanding that tough love talk is negative talk. Okay? And they're learning that tough love is not a way to get results. Even though I know some of us are crazy and we think it is. We do think it is. Some of us do think it is. But if you know your words and you looking up in the dictionary, then you're going to know that love comes with motivational words. Love comes with determination, elevation. Love comes with joy, courage, honor, harmony, peace. How you get tough added on to that? How you get tough added on to that? Oh, because you can still be using negative talk. And in the same breath, talking about you love somebody. It don't work like that. That's not how it works. That's not in research nowhere. That's not in research nowhere. In fact, researchers don't even want you doing no tough love. And the words that are associated, and some of us parents, we know what them tough words, the tough love words be associated with, and they do not be associated with love. They be associated with reverse psychology stuff. Okay? You put the person down and hope that make them feel better to do right. How? Nowhere in research will it tell you that is okay. And that is effective communication. And that is keeping your heart pure. And that is using your prefrontal cortex, the executive function, in a way that it can analyze, process, memorize, coach your thoughts. Students, scholars, thank y'all for attending the classroom tonight. You know how we do. It ain't nothing but a chicken wing how we do. Hey, Ash. Oh, Ash, you here? Ash, you here? Or you gone? I'm going to put you. The first negative self-talk stems from what was negatively told to you as a child. She got a point. That's a huge point right there. Because we talked about that. We talked about that at the first part. When you at that dinner table, you know, what you listening to? What is your brain absorbing? What are we putting in there? when we learn the negative self-talk. Of course, many of us have heard it because a lot of us do use verbal abuse at our dinner table and use it as a form of communication. Peace and love, sister girl. Oh yeah, this was a good topic for you and me because we know how those words can have us feeling like crap. You know, if it has those negative thoughts have us feeling like crap, and it really overwhelms us at the end of the day. Thank you, sis. Love you. Oh, bless your heart. She said, great lesson tonight. Okay, scholar. And Ashley Howard is a scholar, okay, of domestic violence rehabilitation. And we still pushing that word out there. She know about all about the dinner table conversation, how we want to push that word out there and have these conversations for our families and get us to choose another, see another perspective and sort of understand what we're really doing to ourselves from an expert standpoint. And we are not building ourselves up when we have these negative thoughts, and it's easy to say, creator, can you help me get rid of these thoughts? But then the creator, your higher power, your spiritual being wants you to put things in place. Action follows that. And we know faith without works is dead. So action follow what you could be spiritually praying about and seeking in terms of negative self-talk to yourself. It's just not going to ever be a good way, a good route to go. So that's why, again, the safe spaces are important. So when you have that safe space, you can get in there and say what you need to say, drop it all out, you dump it there, and then you can put it and say, okay, you start to feel better because you have lifted that load off, right? You have lifted that load off, so you start to feel better. Then you start seeking ways to put more positive things into your body. So your thing is, it's amazing how the thoughts progress into childhood. Absolutely. They're going to progress into childhood because guess what? That's the basis of what you need to learn about yourself in childhood. That's the very first place where we begin to help a child understand who they are and whose they are. That's the first place where we do that at. And so if it's verbal abuse, then 9 times out of 10, it's going to follow you into your adult, adolescent, and then your adult self. It's going to follow you from your childhood self to your adolescent self to your adult self. Because at no point have you been able to rectify that situation. And research says that adults have a right to go back and counteract those things that they were taught in childhood, which research is backing up that, hey, your parents may have taught you the wrong things about communication. They may have very well taught you negative self-talk. And so research is saying you are able to go back and rectify that. You definitely can do it. It's just a matter of putting yourself in a space to learn how to effectively communicate and how the brain processes our thoughts and feelings and what we need to do to gain more leverage in that, to understand, okay, so here's what I'm feeling. I want to chop this up and understand why I'm feeling this way. So again, I want to write out my thoughts and understand with accuracy what I'm feeling, and then begin to apply your positive affirmations to that. So turn that thing around as quickly as possible. That's going to be the greatest gift that you can give yourself is emotional intelligence and emotional wellness. It's the greatest gift that somebody can give to their self. Okay. So being able to talk about those things and not feel ashamed of what what you may be thinking about your own self, because those feelings are real. When people are inside their head a lot, those feelings are real and you're being bombarded. And research is already saying we have 60,000 to 90,000 thoughts per day. See, on top of the negative stuff, how much of that is negativity? For some people, it's the whole 60,000. For some people, it's the whole 90,000. That's going to be, that's deadly. That is literally deadly. You are literally killing your own self, and nobody else has to do it for you. With that many thoughts running through your mind and they negative. Come on now, you come on now. You can't do that to yourself. You can't do that to yourself and expect to have a long life and a prosperous life and a good life and a holy life. And you cannot have no 60 to 90,000 thoughts of negativity and think you're gonna walk this earth and be good. And somebody will tell you they good in a minute. You ask them how they doing, they gonna say, "Oh, I'm good." And you can look at them. Not only can you look at them, but you can listen to them and hear clearly they're not good. Clearly they're not good. And clearly their thoughts are all jacked up. And their psyche, like Dr. Kakai said, and your psyche is still 10 years old. You 30, 40, and your psyche's still 10. Come on now. Brothers and sisters, we got to do better. We have got to do better with getting into the classroom, getting your personal sessions going on, and learning how to change that negative self-talk into positive self-talk, into healthy brain function, because you are drinking your 64 gallons of water. You are getting that. You are putting that into your body. All right, because we ain't going to live without the water. The brain will never work properly without the water. So that's number one. If you're not drinking the water that you're supposed to have, your brain ain't going to function properly. Like I told Dr. Kakai last night, I be seeing them with a lot of red cups. And it don't be nothing but liquor up in them cups, liquor in bed, and wine up in them cups. I be seeing my construction guys at 7-Eleven with the big old golf cups of soda. They going down with it. And they fill these golf cups up 2 and 3 times a day. Where the water at though, boo? I mean, your brain is out. That's first of all, you're drinking up water. Your negative thoughts walking you towards suicidal self. It's definitely self-destruction. That's off the top. It's definitely self-destruction. That's going to fall under self-harm, self-abuse, self-destruction by those negative thoughts, those words, that verbal abuse, that emotional abuse. It's going to happen. Period. That's what it is. Period. So what you saying, scholar, that's facts. And then it could turn into where your action is suicide, or your action is homicide, or your action is cutting, or your action is drinking yourself to death, or getting high yourself to death. It becomes those things. It becomes overeating. It becomes overspending. It becomes smoking. Now you're smoking yourself into cancer, because your psyche, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, you have no control over. Because again, could lead back to childhood. And so now you brought that into your adolescent self, and now you're trending it in your adult self. So it's definitely self-destruction. All right. And then the action can be suicide for sure. All right. Sisters and brothers, I want to say to you, we always have a wonderful time when we do our class work. I'm so grateful to you for tuning in. Class is always exciting. You know me, I love to chill with y'all. You know what I'm saying? And we have good dinner table conversation, put that word out there, and we really chop it up about some things. So I'm definitely grateful for each and every student that joined us tonight. Okay. And you are free to give this word out to the people out there. I know on a domestic violence tip, we have had several instances here where um, sisters and brothers are still ending up in abusive relationships. And oftentimes, again, it's going to start with the self-harm and negative talk that we do to ourselves because we're in particular situations that make us feel negative about ourselves. So I definitely get that part. Also, we recently had a murder suicide, an attempted murder case out here in Landover, Maryland, where the dad, the stepfather, shot his 11-year-old stepdaughter. At least she's 10, 8, 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there, stepdaughter, and then shot her mother. Her mother's still alive, praise God, and then killed himself. See, so we have all of these things going on in our dinner table. And what did that lead from? How did it get that far? How did it get that bad in some of these cases? Probably verbal abuse and emotional abuse. And the fact that she could have very well wanted to leave the relationship. And you know what we say about telling the abuser you leaving. And that's a no-no. That's a huge no-no to do. Victims got to devise a plan. Male and female victims, y'all got to have a plan to exit the relationship. Okay. So my condolences go out to the family and to their loved ones that have experienced this. I know that the father had 3 children, 3 biological children of his own that are now left without a father. And that whole piece is just disheartening for all of us that are in this cause, to fight this cause called domestic violence, and covering these hard topics. So we definitely send condolences out there to the family, and we send that healing over to her mom, because it's going to be a struggle for that mother to get up, for that mother to feel like the mom is definitely going to have negative self-talk and feelings. She's definitely going to have it. And so keeping that positive energy around her, just loving her, listening to her, that's all we need to do. Just love on her and listen to her and give her that space to have that negative self-talk. Why parents got to go through that. When you lose your children, you got to go through that. Right? And as they're going through the grief process, things begin to ease up a bit. Things begin to ease up a bit as they're going through their grief process with something like that. When you lose a child or a loved one or somebody that's very close to you. It hurt. The baby girl who was shot, of course, she had friends, girlfriends, and things that I am aware of that are hurting as well in this. And so they all need support group right now. All of her friends need support group right now. And I told my lady to call me up, and I'll go over and do a support group with all the friends, to help them identify with what happened to them, this tragedy that is happening. And that's just her friends. So imagine how the mom is going to feel. Imagine how mom's family is processing this. It's extremely hard. So we definitely send our condolences and prayers over there to the family and anybody who have lost someone near and dear close to them from domestic violence, male or female victims, abusers. All right, because the victim is unconscious, and the abuser is unconscious a lot of time. So we send no condolences over to his family as well, because his 3 biological children don't have a father. So they need support. They need a support group. And I'll do it with them too. Because what we're not going to do is make differences in this situation. Because domestic violence don't care. Domestic violence don't care who you are. Domestic violence wants you to talk negative to yourself. And domestic violence wants you to do self-harm. Beat yourself up. It wants you to do that. And then we have tragedies like this. Like my daughter. Tragedy like that. And as a mother who has lost her child, I still got to process the negative self-talk. I still got to make sure I'm on top of my game with these thoughts that come through my mind. You see what I mean? Because I don't need them 3 fingers pointing back at my heart. I love my heart, and I know I pump blood in the body, and I know that I ain't trying to stroke out or ain't no heart attack or none of that. I need to be processing that grief. Grief is to be respected. Grief is to be respected. And that means getting in that space, that safe space, where you can begin to deal with your grief. And it don't always have to be a child. It could be a job. It could be false allegations. It could be custody battles. It could be depression. It could be so getting in that safe space to get the help that you need to help processing something as severe as, grief. Grief is to be respected. And the way you respect grief, you get somewhere in a safe space and begin to deal with it. And you'll come out better for it. You will come out better for it. And you shouldn't wait till the last minute to deal with your grief, because guess what? Grief will rip you to shreds when you don't respect it. It definitely will. And grief has gotten so many bodies up off this earth. So many people have died. All we saw was we saw a gun, we saw a knife, we saw addiction, we saw all these other. But it could very well be a lot of it is grief. A lot of it is grief, which is we gotta respect it enough to deal with it in us. All right. And then we can begin to help coach others that are feeling grief. All right. So my brothers and sisters, thank you for chiming in tonight. We got all to a little late start tonight, so that's why I went a couple of minutes over. But I definitely love you all. You already know that. I'm so grateful. If anybody is going through it, you can definitely call the 1-800-799-SAFE hotline, right? And get you some help there for your current resources in your state, as well as you can reach out to Queenafi. I believe I already had my information here as I was sharing, so I stopped sharing. And peace and love, everybody. Thank you for chiming in tonight. Go in peace and love. Thank you for chiming in tonight.
Domestic violence.
I go back here tonight.
Domestic violence with many tags. So
Queenafi, hear you something.
Check it out.
Hey.
It has to stop. The kids are crying. It's coming down like raindrops.
Love everybody. Thank you for chiming in. Share. Send that love out there to the community. Share.
Young Motive is back with the topic of the day. It's a crucial situation that we all must pay more attention to. It's bringing families down. You know me, I know the truth, and I'ma spread it around. It usually happens at home behind closed doors, but it's spreading through high schools and college dorm floors. For the victim, it's like they got their head in the noose from all the scars of the physical and verbal abuse. Men do it to women, women do it to men. It's a cycle that happens over and over again. It's disturbing and far from bliss, and each and every child is emotional emotionally affected by this. I think it's time we bring the dark to the light, to stop the 911 calls in the middle of the night. So I'm reaching out, and I hope it's worth my while. It's erasing the bond between man, woman, and child.
Domestic violence, it has to stop. The kids are crying, it's coming down like raindrops. It's a behavior we can't condone. It's breaking up our happy homes. Let's get it together, talk about it, and let them know that they're not alone. Domestic violence,
Hey,
it has to stop. The
yes, it
kids are
does.
crying, it's coming down
I hate
like
that.
raindrops. It's a behavior we can't condone. It's breaking up our happy homes. Let's get it together, talk about it, and let them know that they're not alone.
Stop and think about it. This is your significant other. Why would you want your son to see you put your hands on his mother? Leaving little man shook. It's really a bad look. How he's supposed to concentrate and keep his head in the book? How's your daughter supposed to look up to dad? Don't you know that you're the first male role model she's ever had? The saying goes, a woman wants a man like a father. So what you telling her? To accept this from a man? You gotta watch how you talk to whoever you with. Words hurt, people forgive, but never forget. I guess it's up to a teen to teach these things. It's just my expression of how YMC sting. Seek a shelter from mayhem that won't doubt you. And there's all types of
Okay,
programs
you know about that one right there, right?
no need to feel the
That's
same,
your-
'cause it's not your fault.
This one right
And
here
this
needs some
evil
radio
living
play.
has to
Like,
come to
big
an
time.
end.
Domestic violence, it has
That's
to
from our
stop.
brother Young
The
Motive.
kids are crying, it's
Yeah.
coming down like
Young Motive.
raindrops.
Look this up.
It's a behavior we can't condone.
down,
It's breaking up our happy homes. Let's get it
And it's
together,
all still
talk
right.
about it, and let them know that they're
Still
not
mad.
alone. Domestic violence,
That's all right.
it has to stop. The kids
Stop.
are crying, it's coming
Definitely
down like raindrops. It's a behavior we can't condone. It's breaking up our happy homes. Let's get it together, talk about it, and let them know that they're not alone.
Hey, that's all right. Thank you, Young Motive, all the way down in Atlanta, Georgia. Your girl still got you on hype up here in DC and Maryland and Virginia. Still on hype over here with us.
This is Young Motive.
All right,
And I have a
talk
topic
to love.
today.
Thank you for chiming in tonight. Thank
That's
you
all
for chiming in
for
tonight. If
domestic
you want
violence.
to refer me
Domestic
to somebody,
violence. Where's many
vet
tags?
your,
So Queenafi,
vet
if
your
you're listening,
people. Vet your people.
check it out.
Domestic
If you want
violence,
Okay?
it has to
Because the work that we do is hard. And it takes courage to get in that classroom and be damn.
Let's get it together, talk about it,
All of
and
you,
let 'em
all
know
the
that
friends,
they're
supporting
not
another
alone.
open keys.
Young
Because you're
Motive
not
is
that
back with the topic of the day. It's a crucial situation
share
that we all
with
must
somebody.
pay more attention to. It's bringing families down. You know me, I know the truth, and I'ma spread it
Y'all
around.
put this
And
on and
usually
share
it happens at
it.
home behind closed doors,
All
but
right?
it's spread it through.
Y'all having
schools
those
and
dinner
college
table
dorm floors. For the
conversations.
victim, it's like they got
Right?
their head in the noose.
This is
And all
also
the
one
scars
coming
of the
on a
physical and
recording,
verbal
all about
abuse.
non-
Men do it to
corporate.
women, women
They
do
are
it to
also
men.
gonna
It's a
get-
cycle that
make
happens
sure
over
you
and
get
over
it.
again. It's disturbing and far
You
from
know,
bliss.
you can't
And each and every child is emotionally affected by this. I
Shane,
think
what's
it's
the
time to
life
bring the dark
going?
to the light. To stop
March
the
is self-abuse
911
awareness
calls
month.
in the middle of the
Self
night.
harm
So I'm
awareness
reaching out,
month.
and I hope it's worth my
And we
while.
show
It's erasing the bond between man,
the
woman, and
negative
child.
self-talk that we do to ourselves first. Okay? So thank you for chiming in. Peace and love, everybody.
Raindrops.